Hello, everyone. Today, I want to tell you a story. It isn't just a story about technology, microchips, or the trillion-dollar rise of NVIDIA. It isn't just about success in the way we usually define it. This is a story about language. It is about the hidden connection between confidence and simple English. This is the story of Jensen Huang. Many people see him today as a titan of industry. They see a man in a black leather jacket standing on a stage at a massive keynote, commanding the attention of the entire world. They see a confident, charismatic speaker who changed the course of artificial intelligence. But this is not how his story started. To understand his power, we have to go back to the beginning, to the struggle of a young boy trying to find his voice. The immigrant's silent struggle. Jensen Huang was not born into power. He was born in Taiwan. At a young age, his family moved to the United States. Think about that transition for a moment. He was a young boy in a completely new country, facing a foreign culture and, most importantly, a foreign language. English was not his native tongue. Like many of you listening right now, he had to learn how to survive in English. Imagine being in his shoes. You are young, you are incredibly smart, you work harder than everyone else in the room, but when you open your mouth to speak, the words do not come out perfectly. You have an accent. You have to pause to search for the right vocabulary. You feel the heavy pressure of being different. In his early years, Jensen was actually quite shy. He wasn't the natural speaker we see today. He was a boy who felt the weight of every mispronounced word. Many people in this situation make a choice. They become quiet. They tell themselves, "I'm not ready yet. My grammar isn't perfect, so I'll stay silent. I will speak once I sound like a native." But Jensen did not choose silence. He chose to work at a restaurant called Denny's. He credits this job with helping him come out of his shell. He had to talk to strangers. He had to be clear. He had to communicate under pressure. The discovery, simplicity as a superpower. As he moved into his career, Jensen studied engineering, a field filled with incredibly complex ideas, mathematical formulas, and dense technical jargon. This is where he discovered a secret that most English learners miss. Instead of trying to sound smart by using big words or academic phrases, he focused on being clear. Jensen realized that when ideas are complex, simple language becomes a superpower. He didn't try to hide behind corporate speak. He broke things down. Why is this so effective? 1. Simple words reduce the cognitive load of your listener. They don't have to work hard to understand you. 2. Simple sentences build trust. When you speak clearly, people feel you have nothing to hide. You aren't masking a lack of knowledge with fancy words. 3. Clarity creates authority. Only someone who truly understands a topic can explain it simply. The trap of the advanced learner. At the beginning of his career, Jensen had to pitch his ideas to rooms full of engineers, wealthy investors, and high-level partners. Many of them were native speakers with Ivy League degrees. He could have felt insecure. He could have spent hours memorizing advanced vocabulary to try and fit in. Instead, he asked himself one vital question. What is the main idea that they need to understand right now? He spoke from a place of meaning, not perfection. This is a crucial distinction for anyone learning English for business. We often try to use long sentences and fancy grammar because we want to impress people. But what actually happens is we create confusion. People stop listening because they're working too hard to decode our sentences. Jensen did the opposite. He simplified his message until it was impossible to misunderstand. He didn't hide his accent, and he never apologized for it. He realized that an accent is just a sign that you know more than one language. It is a sign of experience, not a lack of intelligence. His confidence didn't come after he mastered English. His confidence came the moment he decided his English was good enough to deliver his vision. Think about your own life. How many times have you stayed silent in a meeting because you were worried about a verb tense? How many brilliant ideas have stayed locked inside your head because you wanted to sound perfect? Jensen Huang understood early on that English is a tool, not a performance. It is a tool to build companies, to move people, to explain the future. When a tool works, it doesn't need to be shiny. It just needs to be effective. If you use a hammer to build a house, no one cares if the hammer has a few scratches on it. They care about the house. Your English is the hammer. Your ideas are the house. Over the years, Jensen's English didn't necessarily become native-like. It became stronger because his communication remained focused. Today, when he speaks on the world's biggest stages, people don't count his grammar mistakes. They don't care if he misses an A or the. They listen to his vision of the future. Why leaders choose simple words? There's a common myth that the higher you go in leadership, the more complex your language should be. In reality, the opposite is true. The most powerful people in the world, people like Jensen Huang, Steve Jobs, or Elon Musk, often use the simplest language. They use small words for big ideas. They use short sentences to create impact. They use metaphors that a child could understand. This is the first lesson from Jensen's story. You don't need perfect English to be powerful. You need clear ideas that provide value, simple language that ensures understanding, and the courage to speak before you feel ready. In the next part of this series, we're going to dive deeper into the psychology of authority. We'll talk about why simple English actually makes you sound more like a leader, and why academic English can actually hurt your career. For now, I want you to remember this. Simple English is not weak English. It is the most powerful version of the language because it is the version that gets results. Don't wait for perfection. Start speaking with the tools you have today.
Many people believe one thing to be true above all else. If I use difficult English, people will respect me more. This belief is incredibly common among professionals, especially those for whom English is a second language. We feel that sophisticated vocabulary is a shield. We think that if we use long, winding sentences and academic jargon, we will prove our intelligence. But in the high-stakes world of leadership and business, this belief often works against you. It creates a barrier rather than a bridge. Today, we're going to look at why Jensen Huang and many other world-class leaders choose the exact opposite path. We're going to explore why clarity is the ultimate form of authority. The psychology of cognitive ease. Think about the speakers you trust the most. When they talk, you don't feel exhausted trying to follow them. They don't confuse you. They don't overload you with unnecessary information. Instead, they explain complex ideas in a way that feels easy to your brain. Psychologists call this cognitive ease. When something is easy to understand, our brains subconsciously associate that feeling of ease with truth and competence. When a speaker makes a topic feel easy, we think this person really knows what they're doing. Confusion, on the other hand, destroys authority. If an audience has to work too hard to decode your English, they stop listening to your ideas and start focusing on your struggle. Jensen Huang understands this better than almost anyone in the tech world. Knowledge versus leadership. Jensen deals with some of the most complex subjects on the planet: massive parallel computing, neural networks, omniverse simulations. These are not simple topics. However, the way he discusses them is remarkably accessible.
He doesn't try to show you how smart he is. He already knows he is smart. He tries to make you feel smart. This is the fundamental difference between having knowledge and practicing leadership. Many people know a lot of facts, but leaders know how to translate those facts into a vision that others can follow. There's an old saying, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. When you hide behind complicated language, you're often hiding a lack of clarity in your own mind. Simple English shows control. It shows that you have mastered your subject so thoroughly that you can strip away the fluff and give people the core truth. The power of direction. Many English learners feel small or less capable when they speak. This isn't because they lack intelligence, it's because they believe power comes from perfect grammar. But power doesn't come from a perfectly placed preposition. Power comes from direction. When you know exactly where your sentence is going, your English sounds confident regardless of your accent. Simple English helps you achieve this because it forces you to make a choice. One idea, one direction, one message. When Jensen Huang speaks, he doesn't rush. He doesn't try to escape the conversation by talking fast. He uses short, punchy sentences, and most importantly, he allows for pauses. The authority of the pause. For many learners, a pause feels like a failure. You think, if I stop talking, they will realize I'm searching for a word. But in the world of authority, the pause is a weapon. A pause shows that you are the one in control of the room. It shows that you are not panicking. Many learners rush because they are afraid of making mistakes, but fast speech fueled by fear always sounds weak. Slow speech fueled by clarity sounds strong. Authority is calm. Authority does not hurry. When Jensen pauses, he is giving his audience time to digest his simple English. He is making sure the house he is building with his hammer is solid. Universality, speaking to everyone. Another reason Jensen's simple style is so powerful is its universality. As the CEO of NVIDIA, he has to speak to a wide variety of people. Brilliant engineers who want technical details, aggressive investors who only care about profit, journalists who need a good story, new employees who need inspiration. By using clear, direct English, he reaches all of them at once. He doesn't need 4 different versions of his speech. He has one clear message. Have you ever noticed people's eyes glazing over when you speak? It usually isn't because your English is bad. It's because your message is dense. Simple English makes you visible. It allows people to respond to you, and when people respond, your natural confidence naturally grows. Vision needs language. Complex English often isolates you. People might nod because they want to be polite, but they're not truly connecting with you. They're not asking the right questions because they're not sure what you just said. Jensen Huang became one of the most influential people in the world because people understood his vision, and a vision cannot survive in a cloud of complex grammar. A vision needs the sunlight of clear language. You do not need to sound native to sound powerful. You do not need a perfect American or British accent. Powerful English is not about phonetics, it is about intention. Conclusion: the rule of 1. Before you speak in your next meeting or presentation, ask yourself, what is the one thing I want them to remember? Follow the rule of 1. One idea per sentence, one clear direction for the conversation, one simple goal. When you speak like this, your brain relaxes. When your brain relaxes, your fear decreases. And when your fear decreases, your natural authority finally has room to breathe. This is why we say simple English is not beginner English, it is leader English. In the next part, we are going to get even more practical. We will talk about the biology of communication, how simple English actually reduces your physical fear and helps your brain think faster under pressure. We'll look at how Jensen stays calm when the stakes are at their highest. Would you like me to move on to part 3, or should we refine this section further?
Fear is the single biggest obstacle for English learners. It isn't a lack of grammar knowledge. It isn't a small vocabulary. It is fear. Fear is what stands between the English you know in your head and the English that comes out of your mouth. Have you ever been in a situation where you knew exactly what to say, but the moment you opened your mouth, your mind went blank? Today, we look at the historical moments in Jensen Huang's life that forced him to choose simplicity over fear. Historical fact: the Denny's transformation. To understand Jensen's confidence, you have to look at his first job. Jensen Huang was a self-described incapable public speaker. He was a shy, young immigrant. To fight this, he took a job as a dishwasher and later a waiter at a restaurant called Denny's. Think about that. A young man who struggled with English, forced to stand in front of hungry, impatient strangers every day. He didn't have time for complex grammar. He had to be fast, he had to be clear, and he had to be effective. This historical training ground is where he learned that communication is about service, not performance. If the customer understood the menu, he succeeded. That was his first lesson in simple English. The biology of the brain freeze. When we feel social pressure, like Jensen did at Denny's, our brain undergoes a physical change. Fear appears when your brain is overloaded. When you try to speak, you are translating concepts, scanning for the best vocabulary, checking grammar, monitoring for judgment. This creates an amygdala hijack. Your brain enters survival mode and shuts down the creative language center. This is why you freeze. Historical fact: the pitch that saved NVIDIA. There is another famous moment in Jensen's history. In 1995, NVIDIA was almost bankrupt. They had made a technical mistake with their first chip. Jensen had to go to the CEO of Sega and explain that their project was a failure, but he needed more money to pivot the company. Imagine the fear in that room. The future of his company and the jobs of his employees were on the line. Did he use complex academic language to hide his mistake? No. He used simple, honest English to explain the vision for a new chip. Because his message was clear and his language was simple, the CEO of Sega trusted him and gave him the money. That simple conversation saved NVIDIA and turned it into the giant it is today. The simplicity solution. Simple English reduces pressure by clearing mental clutter. Jensen didn't aim for linguistic beauty in that Sega meeting. He aimed for impact. By choosing simple sentences, he kept his mental CPU free to focus on his vision. Changing the question from perfection to clarity. Most fear comes from the thought, what if I say something wrong? Simple English allows you to change the question to, is this clear? Clarity is a straight line. Simple sentences give you control. When you use a short subject-verb-object structure, you know exactly where the sentence is going. You don't get lost inside a maze of your own words. The strategy of the silence. One of the greatest fears is the pause. We think, if I pause, they will judge me. But Jensen uses silence as a tool. Pauses give your brain time to breathe and your listener time to think.
Jensen's use of silence makes his words feel heavier. When you aren't afraid of silence, you aren't afraid of English. Escaping the speed trap. Fear pushes people to speak faster to get it over with, but fast speech leads to more errors. Slow speech feels risky, but it builds massive confidence. It signals that you are in control. Simple English allows you to slow down because you aren't trying to juggle complex clauses. The solid ground of familiarity. Complex English is like walking on thin ice. One mistake and everything breaks. Simple English feels like solid ground. You use words you know by heart. This makes speaking feel safe. When you feel safe, your brain opens up. You become more present, you listen better, and you respond faster. Conclusion: permission to be human. Jensen Huang did not try to prove his intelligence through language. He let his results speak. He used English as a delivery vehicle, nothing more. Think about your native language. You don't choose perfect words, you choose honest ones. Jensen Huang stayed calm under the pressure of bankruptcy and global competition because he kept his language simple. Simple language creates mental space, and mental space creates the confidence to lead.
Simple English is not just a speaking style you use on a stage, it is a habit. And like any habit, it is built through small, consistent daily actions. Many learners make a fundamental mistake. They wait for confidence. They think, once I feel ready and my grammar is perfect, then I will speak up in that meeting. But Jensen Huang's life teaches us the opposite. Confidence does not come first, action comes first. Jensen did not wait to feel comfortable. He spoke when it was uncomfortable, in the kitchens of restaurants and the boardrooms of failing startups. That is how his confidence grew, and that is how yours will grow too. The rule of the period. You don't need a special environment to practice. Your daily life is your training ground. The first rule to adopt today is what I call the rule of the period. When we are nervous, we tend to use the word "and" to connect every thought. We create one giant, never-ending sentence. This is where we get lost. Instead, follow Jensen's lead. Say the idea, stop, breathe, continue. Do not build a bridge in your head before you have crossed the first step. One idea at a time. When you are at work or school, try this. Say your main point first, the headline. Add one supporting detail. Stop talking. This creates a vacuum that invites the other person to respond. It keeps you calm and keeps the listener engaged. The listening connection. One of the hidden benefits of simple English is that it actually makes you a better listener. When your brain isn't busy pre-calculating a 20-word sentence with perfect grammar, you have the mental space to actually hear what the other person is saying. Listening builds connection. Connection builds trust, and trust is the foundation of confidence. Jensen Huang is known for being a great listener. He simplifies his own speech so he can focus entirely on the person he's talking to. The 5-minute daily routine. You don't need hours of study, you need consistency. To build leader English, you only need 5 minutes of vocal practice every day. Speak out loud even when you're alone. Your brain needs to hear the sound of your own voice in English to realize it isn't a threat. Describe your day as you live it. Say things like, "I'm starting my work now." "I'm feeling a bit tired, but I will finish this task." "I'm not sure about this yet, and that's okay." These simple, honest sentences train your vocal muscles and your fluency. You are teaching your brain that English is a natural part of your identity, not a performance you have to give.
The no apology policy. This is perhaps the most important habit. Stop apologizing for your English. Never start a sentence with, "Sorry, my English isn't very good." When you say that, you're telling the listener to look for mistakes. You're lowering your own authority before you even share your idea. Jensen Huang never apologized for his accent. He never apologized for being an immigrant. He focused on the value he was providing. You are not doing anything wrong by learning. You are communicating. Instead of apologizing for a mistake, simply correct it or keep moving. That is what true confidence looks like. Let's be honest about mistakes. They will always be there. Even native speakers make them. Your goal is not perfect English. Perfection is a myth that keeps you silent. Your goal is clear communication. Jensen Huang did not become the leader of the AI revolution because he had the best vocabulary in Silicon Valley. He became powerful because people understood exactly what he wanted to build. People follow clarity. People trust clarity. People remember clarity. Conclusion: the path to fluency. Simple English makes you visible. It allows your ideas to step out from behind the shadow of your fear. Over time, as you practice these habits, something amazing happens. You stop thinking in English. You stop translating English. You simply start thinking about ideas. That is what real fluency feels like. It doesn't feel fast. It doesn't feel perfect. It feels calm. Let's summarize the journey we've taken in this series. Perfect English creates pressure. Pressure creates fear. Fear creates silence. Simple English creates clarity. Clarity creates confidence. You don't need to change who you are to be a powerful communicator. You only need to change how you speak. Stop trying to speak perfect English. Start speaking real English. Thank you for watching. If this approach has helped you see your language skills in a new light, please hit the subscribe button and share this with someone who is struggling with their confidence. Start today. Say one simple thing, and then keep going. See you next video.